everybody. Welcome back to another week of Bridging the Gap with Jeff Kirkchick and James Purvis. Today, we are excited to talk about a topic that I'm starting to see a lot of trends in different articles out there. And it's fun to read because it's posting a lot of optimism around what's about to happen with what they're referring to as the post-pandemic surge. So the post-pandemic surge, what does that mean? Well, consumer spending is about to skyrocket. In fact, it already has. I saw that just in retail alone, a 9.8% increase in March has happened with spending across the globe. And really kind of looking into this, if you look at the pandemic, what it did to businesses, right? It obviously accelerated strategic initiatives that folks had around becoming digital first. It fast-tracked folks to becoming more of a 24/7 business. It really just magnified companies' ability to pivot, very quickly. So what I want to kind of talk about here with Jeff is, what is this? I'm thinking this is like a 1-2 punch type of thing. Like a lot of companies got hit in the face last year, and those that were able to be agile and pivot quickly, they actually had a great year. And a lot of their competitors may have been knocked out because of it. So with this post-pandemic surge, here's some data to just really kind of set the stage here. JP Morgan just released that there's $2.8 trillion that's sitting in checking accounts. That it's the most. This is 2.8 trillion more than there was prior to the pandemic. So there's like pent up demand. I'm a sports fan. I can't wait to go see a game live. You look at like travel. There was 1.5 million folks that went through security this past Sunday. And a year prior to that, it was 91,000 folks. So we're already seeing this huge uptick. McKinsey did a study and estimates that annual productivity is going to double the average it saw from even the post-financial crisis. So the list goes on, and you're starting to see these trends. And when the pandemic hit, there was a massive uptick in like call volume that went into different contact centers. And you put 2 and 2 together, you got $2.8 trillion out there that's waiting to get spent. And then you have these stimulus packages that the government's putting out. There's going to be a lot more activity going on with e-commerce, people doing business with folks, with everybody and spending. So Jeff, I have to ask you, being in the contact center space a long time, you've seen like the fluctuations. I'm sure you saw just what the pandemic did to customer service and whatnot with the amount of call volume that went in, how it kind of deteriorated. Curious what your thoughts are. If folks are going to go out there and spend a ton of money and do a lot of business, what is that going to mean? And more specifically, maybe for the contact center world?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big debates that people are having right now is it going to stay remote, or are people going to go back into like doing it the way that they were before in a traditional office setting? And that's a big debate. And I think there's something to be said for the pandemic was obviously bad all around. Nobody's happy that the pandemic happened, but there is a silver lining for contact center leaders, which is that if you made it through this, if you made it through the pandemic, you were probably made stronger because of it. You were forced to adapt and to create certain efficiencies on your staff. I mean, I worked in the financial services sector, and it was a field day for fraudsters because you had more people calling into the bank. You had the agents were not being supervised, by their managers in a traditional sense. They were all remote. And because of the high demand and whatever, there was this increase in, social engineering. But if you were able to survive that, theoretically, it meant that you were able to create better controls, right? So the same goes across different industries. And I think there's something to be said for, there's a lot of folks that I feel like you and I talk to, James, in our day-to-day here at Cresta, where they talk about wanting to turn their call center operation from a cost center into a revenue center. And I've been hearing that for 8 years since I started. I remember the first conference I ever went to, I heard people talking about turning it from a cost center to a revenue center. A lot of times it's all talk and no action. And that's not true for everybody. And there's plenty of people who do a great job of this, but I wonder if this is an opportunity for people to start thinking about, once things go back to normal here, how do we start capitalizing on the mindset of the person who's calling, that they're ready to try to go back to their normal life. They might have an appetite to be spending money with, introducing cross-sell and upsell opportunities when they're calling in situations where you might not have been thinking about that already. So those are the things that I'm keeping my eye on, is like, who's trying to be proactive about this, who's going to try to get out ahead of what's going on and be proactive rather than reactive in this as we go back to normal.
Yeah, I love it. So I think that's a good place to end there is, hey, for those who are listening or running a contact center or any business, there's $2.8 trillion for you to go after, plus whatever stimulus, the stimulus packages do and create. Go out there and get it. Your contact center is really what sits between your customers and then the business outcomes you're trying to achieve. So there's a lot of money to go out there and grab. And Jeff said it best right there. I mean, there's cross-sell and upsell opportunities. So